Questions for oral answer. Question number 1, in the name of Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Does he stand by all his statements in relation to the Panama Papers?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Does he accept that the Panama Papers show New Zealand-based foreign trusts are being used, at the very least, for tax avoidance?
The Right Honourable Prime
Mr.
Minister.
Speaker, no. I haven't seen the Panama Papers, so I can't comment on whether that's the case or not.
They've been in the papers. Supplementary.
Order.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question. Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Why did he limit the tax dodging review to only the operation of the law with respect to foreign trusts in New Zealand, and not, for example, the law around portfolio investment entity funds and tax paid by multinationals?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, I think the review being undertaken by John Shewan will be quite comprehensive when it comes to disclosure, and the issues around tax, which I don't know where that will ultimately go, as a matter of us working with the OECD, and our officials are going to Paris on Wednesday to be part of a global meeting on that.
Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Why did he push through a law in 2011, which Labor opposed, that cut the tax rate for foreign funds to 0, a move that PricewaterhouseCoopers said put New Zealand on a par with renowned tax havens like Ireland, Luxembourg and the Caymans?
Speaker,
the Right Honourable Prime
member would
Minister.
need to direct that question to the Minister of Revenue. I don't have those facts.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Can he confirm that New Zealand was kicked off the EU's whitelist following his law change because New Zealand no longer had equivalent, quotes, legal requirements of money laundering and terrorist financing prevention, end quotes?
The Right Honourable Prime
Speaker, no, I
Minister.
don't have that data, but I can confirm that New Zealand was ranked in the top 20 in the world when it came to disclosure matters, according to the OECD.
Supplementary.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Why does he defend tax-avoiding multinational corporations and owners of foreign trusts who are just using New Zealand to avoid paying tax?
That's you, Nick.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
A variety of reasons why people use foreign trusts, including ones that may be registered in New Zealand. I'm sure many of them are legitimate.
Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Does he think he has achieved his goal of making New Zealand the Jersey of the South Pacific? And don't pull the wool over our eyes.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I do think there's a role for New Zealand in the provision of financial services. It's part of a diversified economy. I think we can do that quite successfully. My other goal has been to lead National to 50% in the polls, not 28%.
Order.
Supplementary.
Order. Order. I don't mind a certain amount of interjection, but when it's getting to that level, I'm going to have to start mentioning people by name. Andrew Little.
Supplementary. Has he ever been involved personally or professionally in a foreign trust or other vehicle used to reduce tax?
Speaker,
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
no ministerial responsibility for that, but I'm quite happy for the member to look at the answers I gave my post-cabinet press conference yesterday.
Yeah, no, we did. That was the problem. Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Will he join me and release his tax records to dispel rumours that he has benefited from the use of tax havens?
The Right Honourable Prime
Firstly,
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there are no such rumours. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I don't think the member actually should table his tax return. I think he should table his CV, because he'll be out looking for a new job soon.
Order. 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 The Leader of the Opposition wants
Point
to
of
raise
order,
a point
Mr.
of order. Point of order, Andrew Little.
I see.
Order. This is a point of order. It will be heard.
I seek leave to table my income tax records going back to the year ending 31 March 2010 to the year ending 31 March 2016.
Leave is sought to table those particular records. Is there any objection? There is none. They can be tabled. Order. Order. Mr. Robertson, when I stand to my feet at that time, I accept there may have been distracted, but he needs to look this direction a bit more often. Question number 2.